There exists a secret, so powerful it can transform your entire life, your mindset, your relationships, your success. Yet it's so sacred that the moment you speak it aloud, you risk losing its magic. In a world that thrives on validation and oversharing, this truth demands silence, not applause. It's the kind of revelation that awakens something primal within you, a deep sense of purpose, direction, and clarity that only you can fully understand. This is not a motivational cliche. It's a shift in your being that makes you walk differently, speak with less noise, and move with focused power. Guard it, protect it, because once shared, it's no longer just yours. Number 1, your vision loses power when it's explained to the wrong ears. There's a quiet, sacred strength in a vision that lives only in your heart. It's like a fragile flame, burning brightly within you, guiding your steps, igniting your purpose. But when you try to explain this inner fire to someone who cannot feel its heat, you risk it being blown out by misunderstanding, skepticism, or indifference. Your vision is yours for a reason. It was planted in your soul, not theirs. And yet, in moments of excitement or uncertainty, we often feel compelled to share our dreams too soon, seeking encouragement, validation, or simply connection. But not every listener is ready or worthy of hearing what you're building in silence. Every time you explain your dream to someone who doesn't understand it, you water down its energy. You open it up to projections, fears, and limitations that aren't yours. You might hear things like, "That's unrealistic. No one's done that before." Or, "Why don't you just stick with something safer?" And slowly, without realizing it, your once crystal clear vision becomes cloudy. Not because it's no longer true or powerful, but because you allowed someone else's lens to distort your focus. Many people live inside small boxes of fear and familiarity. They don't mean harm when they cast doubt, they're just speaking from their own limitations. But when you invite those voices into your sacred space of becoming, you unconsciously absorb their energy. You start second guessing, you start shrinking, you start editing your dream to make it acceptable to those who were never meant to carry it with you in the first place. Sharing your vision prematurely is like exposing an unbaked cake to cold air. It collapses before it ever gets a chance to rise. A vision needs time to develop, mature, and gain strength. It needs solitude. It needs silence. The early stages are delicate. It's when your confidence is still growing, your direction is still refining, and your belief is still taking root. During this stage, what you need is not an audience, but alignment. You need to stay grounded in why you're doing it, not seek approval for what you're doing. Another danger of oversharing your vision is the illusion of progress. Talking about it can give a false sense of accomplishment. You feel the dopamine hit of external praise, yet nothing real has changed. You mistake words for work, ideas for action, praise for results. And slowly your vision becomes more of a story you tell than a life you live. This is how dreams die, not with rejection, but with distraction. On the other hand, when you protect your vision, you allow it to grow in strength and clarity. You give yourself the space to fail quietly, to course correct without judgment, and to evolve without interference. You become more self-reliant, more tuned to your inner voice, and more aligned with your unique path. The less noise you let in, the more clearly you can hear your intuition guiding you. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself entirely. It means you become discerning about who you share your dream with. You look for people who carry the same fire, who don't need an explanation to believe in you, who speak growth, not fear, who uplift, not question. These are the right ears, the rare souls who don't just hear your dream but feel it. But until those people show up, or even if they never do, you must be your own protector, your own believer. You must learn to walk alone when necessary, fueled by a vision that needs no explanation. This is the essence of inner power. The ability to keep building quietly, consistently, with full conviction, even when no one else sees what you see. So the next time you feel the urge to share your vision, pause. Ask yourself, is this person capable of holding the weight of what I'm carrying? If the answer is no, smile, stay silent, and keep building. Let your results do the talking. Let your evolution be the announcement. Let your life become the proof. Because in the end, the most powerful visions don't need to be explained. They're lived. They're felt. And when they finally come to life, the same people who once couldn't understand you will look at you in awe. And all you'll have to say is, I told no one, and I still became. Number 2, silence builds magnetic momentum. In a world obsessed with noise, silence is a rare and underestimated superpower. Every day, we're surrounded by the chatter of social media, the constant hum of opinions, and the pressure to prove ourselves out loud. But the truth is, real transformation happens in quiet. Momentum, true powerful life-shifting momentum is born not in the spotlight but in the shadows. When you move in silence, you don't just protect your path, you multiply its impact. Your silence becomes a force that builds pressure, energy, and direction beneath the surface, until one day the world sees a version of you they never expected, but that you always knew was coming. Silence doesn't mean inactivity. It means focus. It means putting your head down and doing the work without the need for recognition or reassurance. It means channeling all your energy into becoming, not explaining. There's a magnetic quality to this kind of quiet grind. People may not know what you're up to, but they feel something is shifting. They see it in how you carry yourself, in your consistency, in your discipline, in the way you show up different, calmer, stronger, more intentional. Momentum is often misunderstood. It's not about huge leaps or dramatic displays. It's about the steady, invisible force that grows stronger with each intentional action. One quiet step leads to another. One decision at a time, you begin to build something unstoppable. But here's the key. Momentum requires containment. Like water building behind a dam, its power grows when it's not scattered. Silence is that dam. It holds your energy in, allows it to build, and then release at the right moment with maximum force. When you talk too much about what you're doing, you release energy before it's time. You waste precious momentum explaining moves that haven't even matured yet. You invite resistance, distraction, and even self-doubt by opening doors to too many voices. Talking gives a temporary sense of progress, but it's a trap. It feels like motion, but it's just noise. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you grounded. It keeps you focused on the process, not the perception. There's also something deeply spiritual about silence. It creates space for clarity. When you strip away the noise, you can hear your own inner voice more clearly. You can connect with your intuition, recognize your true desires, and stay aligned with your purpose. This is how magnetic momentum is built, not just through hustle, but through alignment, through knowing exactly who you are, what you want, and why you are moving the way you are. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you move in silence, the louder your results will speak. People will begin to notice your glow, your strength, your success, but they won't be able to trace how you got there. That mystery is magnetic. It creates intrigue, curiosity, and respect. While others are busy making noise, you become the person whose presence alone demands attention. You become the storm that no one saw coming. Silence also shields you from unnecessary pressure. When you broadcast your goals to the world, you give them permission to monitor your progress. Every delay becomes a judgment. Every setback feels like failure. But when you keep it to yourself, you have room to grow, to stumble, to rebuild without the eyes of the world watching. That's when real growth happens, in the quiet, in the private, in the sacred space between intention and manifestation. Another powerful effect of silent momentum is the sharpening of self-trust. When you're not constantly seeking feedback or validation, you learn to rely on your own inner compass. You become your own validator, your own motivator, your own guide. This builds a different kind of confidence, one that isn't dependent on applause or affirmation. It's rooted, unshakable, magnetic. Let others talk. Let them post. Let them shout. You don't need to match their volume. You're not here to impress. You're here to become. And becoming doesn't require noise. It requires intention, discipline, repetition, presence. And above all, it requires silence. The kind of silence that protects your progress and amplifies your impact. So embrace the quiet. Stay low while you build. Let the world wonder what you're up to. Let your results surprise them. And when your moment comes, when the work you've been doing in silence finally reveals itself, people won't ask what you did. They'll ask how you did it. And all you'll need to say is, I stayed silent. I stayed focused. I stay moving. Because silence, when used with purpose, doesn't hide your power. It builds it. Number 3, external validation weakens internal strength. External validation feels good. It's addictive. It gives you a dopamine rush, a sense of worth, a fleeting high. But that's exactly the danger. Because anything that can be given to you can also be taken away. And when your self-worth is built on the shifting opinions of others, you become fragile. One negative comment, one ignored message, one unimpressed reaction can send your confidence crumbling. You become a puppet to praise. And your strength becomes conditional. Strong when people love you, weak when they don't. Internal strength, on the other hand, is unshakable. It comes from a deep place of knowing who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and what truly matters. It's rooted in purpose, not popularity. It's built through solitude, struggle, and self-reflection, not through applause. It's quiet, solid. It doesn't scream for attention because it doesn't need it. And ironically, when you operate from that place, you become more magnetic. People are drawn to those who move with conviction, not those who chase claps. The danger of external validation is that it slowly hijacks your identity. You start curating your personality, your choices, your dreams to fit someone else's expectations. You become performative, always seeking a reaction. And the more you do it, the more disconnected you become from your true self. You may achieve success, but it won't feel fulfilling. Because deep down, you'll know it wasn't your path. It was one built for the crowd, not your calling. Real growth demands that you learn to validate yourself. That you learn to clap for your own progress even when no one else notices. That you become your own biggest believer, cheerleader and coach. It means waking up and deciding, I'm proud of me, not because someone else said it, but because you know you've earned it. That's where true freedom lives, when your sense of worth isn't attached to anyone's opinion but your own. Of course, this doesn't mean you never listen to feedback or ignore support. Healthy relationships and mentorship matter. But there's a difference between appreciation and addiction, between receiving encouragement and needing it to feel valuable. External validation can support your path, but it should never define it. The moment you start living for applause, you're no longer leading, you're performing. One of the greatest challenges on the path of self-mastery is learning to walk alone, especially in the early stages of transformation. When you change, grow, or pursue something bold, you might not get the support you expect. People may doubt you, they may not understand you. And if you've built your strength on their validation, you'll collapse. But if you've built it from within, you'll keep going anyway. That's the power of internal strength. It doesn't waver with the wind. This inner strength is cultivated in silence, in the discipline of doing the work when no one is watching, in making choices that align with your highest self, even when they're unpopular, in listening to your intuition over the noise of the world. It's built through every moment you choose integrity over approval, and with every choice, you reinforce the truth. You don't need validation to be valuable. So check in with yourself often. Ask, am I doing this because it's true to me or because I want someone to notice? The answer will reveal whether you're leading your life or letting others lead it for you. Reclaim your power by pulling it back from the hands of the crowd and placing it in your own. When you stop living for their applause, you start hearing your own voice again, and that voice, it's the most powerful guide you ever have. Because it doesn't fade, it doesn't flip-flop, it doesn't disappear when the crowd moves on. It stays, it strengthens, it speaks truth. And when you learn to live from that place, you'll realize you were always enough. You just had to stop asking for permission to believe it. Number 4, your greatest moves are made in private. Private work produces public results, but it takes maturity, confidence, and patience to keep your process sacred. There is something deeply powerful about showing up for yourself when no one is watching. There are no cameras, no cheering audience, no status updates. Just you, your effort, your intention, and your commitment to your evolution. That kind of work has a different energy. It's honest, pure, focused, and it builds a foundation that fame and validation simply cannot match. Your private moments are where character is built. It's where you train harder than you post, where you practice your craft until your hands shake, where you read, reflect, fall apart, and rebuild again and again. It's in these moments of solitude where you confront your deepest insecurities, break toxic patterns, and build resilience. No one sees this, and that's the point. Because transformation is not a show, it's a process. And the best parts of that process happen when it's just you versus you. Moving in private also protects your energy. The moment you start broadcasting your goals or wins too early, you invite interference, judgment, expectations, jealousy, and even self-sabotage. Sharing your progress prematurely can distort your focus. You start performing rather than progressing. You start tweaking your path to look impressive instead of staying aligned with what's real. But when you stay quiet, you stay clean, your energy is protected, your intention is pure, and your progress is uninterrupted. There's also a profound mental advantage to operating in silence. Privacy builds confidence, not the kind that needs to be seen, but the kind that cannot be shaken. When you know how hard you've worked, when you've overcome silently, when you've earned your wins through quiet consistency, you don't need to prove anything. You walk differently. You speak less but say more. You carry a calm certainty that only private effort can create. Working in private allows you to fail in peace. You can make mistakes, pivot, and grow without the pressure of an audience. This freedom is critical because the path to success is never linear. You will fall. You will stumble. But when you're not performing for others, you recover faster. There's no shame, only learning. And from that learning comes wisdom. From that wisdom comes power. From that power comes transformation. Privacy also strengthens self-trust. When you're not relying on applause to feel valuable, you begin to develop a relationship with yourself that is rooted in integrity. You begin to keep promises to yourself. You show up, not because someone's watching, but because you said you would. That self-trust becomes the backbone of everything you build. And the more you honor your process in private, the stronger and more unshakable you become in public. So stop announcing every move. Stop needing to be seen to feel successful. The real magic is happening behind the scenes. Honor that. Protect that. Build quietly and let your legacy make the noise. Because your greatest moves, the ones that shift your life, aren't made on stage. They're made in silence, discipline, and privacy. Number 5, protecting the sacred breeds, mastery. There is something deeply powerful about holding certain parts of your life sacred. Your routines, your healing, your vision, your relationships, your inner work. In a culture that encourages oversharing and overexposure, guarding the sacred becomes an act of rebellion, self-respect, and higher wisdom. Protecting what matters most is not about secrecy. It's about preserving energy, focus, and intention. It's about understanding that not everything needs to be witnessed to be real, because the moment you allow too many eyes, opinions, or energies into something still forming, you risk weakening its foundation. Mastery begins when you learn to protect the sacred with quiet devotion. In the early stages of any transformation, whether personal, spiritual, creative, or professional, your progress is delicate. It's like a seed. You wouldn't dig up a seed every day to show the world it's growing. You'd water it, shield it from harsh weather, and allow it to take root in the darkness before it breaks through the surface. The same goes for your goals, your dreams, your habits, and your breakthroughs. When you protect them, keep them sacred, personal, and consistent, you give them the space to develop depth, strength, and direction. Mastery isn't built in noise, it's built in quiet commitment. It's built in the repetition of small, intentional actions done consistently without needing applause. Protecting the sacred means you're not performing your growth, you're embodying it. You're not chasing validation, you're chasing alignment. You're not distracted by what others think. You're deeply in tune with what feels right, real, and necessary. So what is sacred? It's anything that fuels your soul, refines your character, or shapes your becoming. Your early morning routines, your moments of stillness and reflection, your spiritual practices, your long-term vision, your healing journey, your creative process, your self-talk. These are the spaces where your future is born. They are sacred not because others say so, but because you know they are. And they deserve to be protected from noise, doubt, comparison, and outside interference. One of the greatest enemies of mastery is distraction. When you expose your sacred work too soon, when you talk more than you act, when you seek applause before you've earned clarity, you scatter your energy, you dilute your progress. You open the door to unnecessary feedback, fear-based advice, or comparison that can derail your rhythm. Protecting the sacred means closing that door, not in arrogance, but in wisdom, not out of secrecy, but out of stewardship. There's a reason the most profound transformations often happen in solitude. There's a reason the monk retreats, the artist isolates, the athlete trains in silence. It's not to hide. It's to focus, to remove all that is non-essential, to fully immerse in the process of becoming without the noise of the world pulling them off course. When you guard your sacred space, you allow mastery to take root deeply. You become more aware of your own rhythm, your own wisdom, your own needs. That self-awareness sharpens your edge. That solitude refines your strength. Protecting the sacred also cultivates respect for your time, your energy, your vision. You stop letting just anyone speak into your life. You stop sharing your process with those who haven't earned the right to witness it. You learn discernment, who adds to your sacred space and who drains it. Mastery demands this level of intentionality. It demands that you value your own path enough to guard it fiercely. And here's the paradox. The more you protect the sacred, the more powerful your presence becomes. The quieter you move, the louder your results will be. The more you focus inward, the more others will feel the strength you're building. You won't need to convince anyone. Your energy will speak for itself. Your excellence will be undeniable. You will become someone who doesn't need to announce your mastery. People will recognize it in your discipline, your peace, your confidence, your clarity. In the end, mastery is not a destination. It's a sacred lifestyle. A way of living with intention, focus, and reverence for what truly matters. It's built day by day, moment by moment, in the privacy of your own growth. So protect your sacred spaces. Guard your routines. Keep your inner fire lit, even when no one else can see it. You're not hiding, you're preparing. You're not avoiding, you're aligning. You're not withholding, you're mastering. Because what's sacred isn't meant to be shared too soon. It's meant to be lived, refined, and protected until it's ready to shine on its own. Number 6. Wisdom isn't loud. It's precise and selective. In an age where noise often masquerades as knowledge and volume is confused with value, true wisdom remains quiet, intentional, and powerful. It doesn't shout for attention, it doesn't rush to speak, it doesn't need to prove itself. Wisdom isn't found in the loudest voices, the longest speeches, or the most visible opinions. It's found in the moments of stillness, reflection, and discernment. The most powerful individuals, those who live with clarity, strength, and depth, are rarely the ones doing the most talking. They've learned that wisdom isn't loud, it's precise and selective. The wise understand the value of energy, the weight of words, and the importance of timing. They don't waste their voice in every conversation or share their thoughts with everyone they meet. They know that not every question deserves an answer, not every conflict demands a reaction, and not every moment needs to be filled with sound. Their restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. They choose their words the way a surgeon chooses their tools, carefully, skillfully, and only when necessary. Being loud is easy. Anyone can speak without thinking, argue for the sake of ego, or post constantly to feel relevant. But being selectively expressive, that takes depth. It requires self-awareness, emotional maturity, and a strong sense of purpose. When you possess wisdom, you don't speak to be heard. You speak to impact. And often you don't speak at all, because silence, when it comes from a place of understanding, can be more powerful than any speech. Wisdom is forged in experience. It comes from pain, reflection, healing, failure, and growth. And those who have walked through fire and come out on the other side don't waste their words. They understand the difference between talking about life and actually living it. They speak when it serves others, when it brings clarity, and when it's aligned with truth. They've learned that the right words, said at the right time, carry more power than 1,000 shouted opinions. Being precise with your speech also protects your peace. When you don't feel the need to explain yourself to everyone or respond to every challenge, you conserve energy for what truly matters. You move from reaction to response, from noise to presence. You become unshakable. Not because you dominate every room, but because you don't need to. Your silence holds strength. Your presence carries weight. And when you do speak, people listen, not out of obligation, but out of respect. This selectiveness isn't about superiority. It's about alignment. The wise understand that not every environment is worthy of their voice. They discern where their energy will be received and where it will be wasted. They don't argue with ignorance or defend themselves to the closed-minded. They don't shout truth into ears that are committed to misunderstanding. Instead, they choose silence, patience, and observation, because they know that time often teaches what words cannot. Furthermore, wisdom is rooted in listening. The wise are listeners first, speakers second. They observe. They study patterns. They ask questions. They absorb before they respond. This patience allows them to speak from insight rather than impulse. While the world rushes to comment, they pause, and in that pause they gain perspective. They understand that speaking less doesn't mean knowing less. It means knowing better. There's a reason the mentors, leaders, and guides we remember most weren't those who spoke the most, but those whose words mattered most. They spoke with clarity, depth, and direction. Their advice felt like truth, not performance. And that's what we must strive for. Not more words, but more weight in our words. Not more talking, but more truth in our timing. When you embrace the principle that wisdom is precise and selective, your communication transforms. You become more intentional. You learn to hold space instead of filling it. You learn that being misunderstood is not always your burden to carry. You choose peace over proving, silence over shouting, alignment over attention. So speak less, but mean more. Don't rush to fill the silence. Honor it. Don't broadcast every thought. Refine it. Let your life speak louder than your voice. Let your actions carry your message. And when you do speak, let your words carry the strength of silence, the depth of thought, and the clarity of wisdom. Because true power doesn't need to scream, it only needs to speak when it matters. Number 7, the universe rewards those who don't boast their becoming. Is a sacred power in becoming quietly, patiently, intentionally. The most remarkable transformations in life rarely come with the spotlight. They unfold in private, nurtured by solitude, discipline, and unwavering focus. In a time when people are quick to share every step of their journey, every morning routine, every achievement, every insight, the ones who grow in silence hold a rare kind of strength, because the universe does not reward noise. It rewards energy, and it gives its greatest blessings to those who don't boast their becoming. Becoming is an inner journey. It's not glamorous, and it's certainly not always pretty. It's filled with long nights of self-doubt, days of relentless effort, and countless moments where no one sees the work you're putting in. And that's exactly why it's powerful. Because it's real. You're not performing, you're not posting for likes, you're not announcing your goals to gain approval. You're doing the work alone, quietly, with purpose. When you boast you're becoming too early or too often, you risk leaking the very energy that fuels your growth. Every time you seek recognition before the roots are deep enough, you weaken your foundation. You allow applause to replace alignment, validation to replace vision. And in doing so, you unconsciously begin to build for others, not for yourself. You shape your identity around being seen rather than becoming whole. But when you move in silence, when you resist the urge to prove and choose instead to protect, you enter into a divine flow. You create a space where growth can thrive uninterrupted. You align with the natural rhythm of the universe, which honors patience, integrity, and truth. You stop living for the performance and start living for the process. And it's in that process that miracles begin to unfold. The universe responds to energy, not ego. When your actions are pure, when they are not driven by the need to impress, but by a sincere commitment to evolve, things begin to shift in your favor. Doors open, opportunities appear. People are drawn to your presence without even knowing why. It's not because you told them who you were becoming. It's because you became. And the frequency of that becoming speaks louder than any announcement ever could. There's also a beautiful humility in quiet growth. You realize that the process is sacred, not for public consumption. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves access to your becoming. Some will misunderstand it, others will try to copy it, and some will try to sabotage it. But when you keep it hidden, when you keep it sacred, you give it the chance to mature in peace. You let your results speak when the time is right. And by then, they're undeniable. This is not about hiding, it's about honoring. It's about knowing that true transformation doesn't need a stage. It needs space. It needs stillness. And it needs you to stay rooted, even when no one is clapping, even when no one understands. Because becoming is not for them. It's for you, for your calling, for your evolution, for your soul. And when the time is right, when the foundation is strong and the fruit is ripe, the universe will reveal you, not because you demanded attention, but because your alignment called it in. People will wonder how you did it. They'll ask where you came from, and the truth will be simple. You never left. You were just building in silence. So keep going, keep becoming. Let the world sleep on you while you work on you. Let your actions be louder than your announcements. Let your growth be so real, so deep, so undeniable that one day you won't have to say a word. Your presence will do all the talking. Because the universe always rewards those who don't boast their becoming. It blesses those who grow in grace, and it honors those who choose purpose over performance, alignment over applause, and mastery over momentary recognition. In a world obsessed with instant results and public validation, choosing the quiet path of inner mastery may seem unconventional, but it is the most powerful way to rise. Every keynote we've explored speaks to one sacred truth. Your becoming is a divine process, and it doesn't require an audience. When you guard your vision, move in silence, build in private, reject the trap of external validation, and walk with quiet purpose, you become unstoppable, not in noise but in presence. True transformation doesn't beg to be noticed. It grows in stillness, matures in patience, and arrives with undeniable force. So let this journey be your reminder to protect your sacred work. Choose depth over display. Master consistency in the dark before expecting applause in the light. Speak only when it adds value. Move only when it's aligned. Let your wisdom guide you, not your ego. Clap for yourself in the silence. And most importantly, trust the process, even when it's invisible to everyone else. You don't need the world's approval to walk in your purpose. You only need the courage to keep walking, the discipline to stay aligned, and the faith to believe that what is unfolding for you, though unseen, is powerful beyond words. Now let us pray together. Divine Creator, source of strength and light, we thank you for the gift of becoming. In every quiet moment, remind us that we are growing, even when the world is silent. Teach us to walk humbly, speak wisely, and move with intention. Guard our hearts from the hunger for validation and anchor us in purpose and truth. Let our unseen efforts bear fruit in their perfect time. Strengthen our inner fire when the journey feels long, and remind us that what is sacred is worth protecting. May we walk in alignment, live with grace, and rise with quiet power. Amen.